Good morning. It's Sunday, August 31st. I'm back in East Glacier. You're going to hear cars going by down this little tiny road that goes along there because they're heading up into Logan's Pass, up into going over the sun, which if you know Glacier National Park, that's the big windy road that drove over it yesterday looking for a place to film that. There was no way to get off the road where the noise was. So now I'm sitting out in this meadow. And what I like about this image is I see this every day from my campground. And the idea that these immense mountains are sort of covered in both smoke and fog and clouds right now is a little bit about what we want to talk about, which is like courage. Like what happens when the real us starts to emerge and whoa, then you see the magnificence of these mountains behind us. So what I want to talk about is this extraordinary week we've been in. Between what happened before, leading up to Sunday, and where we're going. And it feels like the Tower card is finally coming alive in our lives. Like it is talking. So when we're looking at the Tower card with the Osho Zen, it's like, man, everything is starting to collapse, right? So since August 24th, the sun's been, which is last Sunday, the sun's been firing these M-class flares. And between M1.3 and M4.5. So they're not getting up in the 7s or 8s or 9s or 8s that are telling us, 9s that are telling us that we are heading for an X class. What it's doing is it's hanging out in that tower zone, which we've talked about for the last 2 years. It's gone from tap, tap, tap to direct blasts of energy that are shaking us loose from what no longer serves us, from what doesn't work, never has really worked, and it's stripping away what we can't carry forward. So what's happening is that we're feeling a lot of, and I have this wonderful card that I want to, where did it go? There he is. This is a lot of what this last week has felt like. Like there's this pressure coming in, there's these symptoms that are up, whether it's headaches, whether it's gut ache, whether it's digestion, whether it's sleepless nights. You know, this kind of fire pressure has been demolishing us from the inside out. And when that happens, you know, we're vulnerable, we're tired, we're exhausted on a whole new level than what we were before, right? And life is hard. So that's what's been going on with the solar flares. Second is that the KP index has stayed somewhat calm, right? You know, it means that the storm is not in the Earth's field, it's our own. This is our tower moment. This is what's going on within us. So we're each living our own version of tower, of having things swirling and falling apart, right? So let's talk a little bit about the tower energy, because it's like when Uranus just comes in and just lightning bolt just brings about change. So it's sudden change, lightning strikes, collapse of false structures. So think of false structures. Like what have you been doing? What have I been doing? What have we been doing that we do for approval? We do to make money. We do to keep a relationship. We do to keep our children happy, right? And when we're feeling destabilized, and something in our life is falling apart, it's not failure. This is the universe clearing away the scaffolding, right? So that the truth within us can be revealed. So when this scaffolding is being blown off of us, we're vulnerable, we're upset, we feel victim energy, we feel a lot of things that don't make sense. And what we really want to do is look at, like, wait a minute, like these mountains, what if there's some magnificence underneath all of this that's going to start coming through, and this is who I really am when I stop compromising or compartmentalizing everything that I am in order to fit in. So the question I have for each of us is, can we stay present and grounded when these walls come down? Because that's where we're at right now. So next thing that I want to talk about is that Saturn is going into Pisces tomorrow, September 1st. So Saturn started to go retrograde in July, and then, you know, it was kind of coming back out of Aries, right? It's a slow moving planet, and tomorrow it goes back into Pisces. Now, if you go on to Instagram and look at Fida Fidel's Saturn into Pisces, I think it's one of those ones that's just going to rock you. So I will put the link to that down below in the comments. It's profound. So when Saturn went into Aries earlier this year, we did a lot of this. You can go back and look at previous videos, right? He tested the fire. He kind of went in and said, oh man, this is what it's going to look like for the next 2.5 years. Saw what has been or will be or needs to be burned away, and now is going back into Pisces until February to go do the deep emotional work. It's almost like, I thought I'm ready, here I go, and got into Aries and was like, oh shit, I'm not ready yet. And is now going back into Pisces to do some deep work. Because the return isn't about control, it's about courage. It's the old masculine roles, the patriarchal sort of roles that we inherited over generations and generations, over hundreds of years, that are supported in our religions, that are supported in our family systems and in our politics. Roles within us where we act like we're really strong, right? We power over. We hold hierarchy. We have performative strength, which means like I need to have my shoulders back and my neck up and a stern look on my face when I need to exert power. And that's just bullshit. It's cracking open. So what we thought was a masculine role within ourselves as humans, because we all have feminine and masculine in us, was something that we were parroting, that we learned, and it isn't actually true. So what's behind all of that control is where we meet this wound, where we meet this it's not a wound, it's a being who's intuitive, who moves with energy and systems, and has been shunned and scared and vilified for hundreds and thousands of years. That wound is like what happens when my real skills start to come to the surface. We meet our fear, we meet our tenderness, we meet our real skills, where our intuition, our understanding of metaphysics, what is beyond the physical that I can see, starts to rebalance and come forward, right? So true courage isn't about domination. We have to learn that courage isn't about domination. Courage is about the willingness to be vulnerable, to love, to soften into the waters of Pisces. And when I think of like that father image of the one who gets down on his knees when a child comes to him and says, what do you need? I'm right here. There's a source of power and strength that comes from that kind of skill set, rather than what's the matter, which I was raised with. What's going on? Okay, so the invitation is to let our armor crumble so that your real strengths can be revealed. Makes sense, right? Okay, so a brief mention on the eclipses. Starting on next Sunday, September 7th, is the beginning of eclipse season. We can feel it. It's already happening. We have 2 eclipses on the 7th and on the 21st. On the 7th is the full moon with the full lunar eclipse. Got all of that out on one thing. The next is on the 21st, and it is a partial sun. Both of these are going to be visible only through the southern hemisphere. So for us here in the northern hemisphere, it's going to take place during the daytime, and it's for the lunar moon daytime, and for the solar in the evening. So we're in the opposite schedule, right? It doesn't mean that they aren't affecting us. It means that they're turning us upside down, because these are portals of realignment. So this idea that that Saturn's been going backwards, we're going into these tower moments, and we have these eclipses that are realigning us, means that we're in for it for the month of September. Just know it's going to be big. And this is why I'm talking about courage right now. That's why I'm standing in front of some of the most magnificent mountains I've been around. This, by the way, up here, is the beginning of the crown of the continent. So if you look at the map, especially like National Geographic did this whole thing on like how the North American continent sort of comes up to this peak right here. That's what they're talking about, crown of the continent. So here we are. The tower's shaking. Saturn's asking us to drop our masks of control, and eclipse season is opening the doorway for our destiny. And we're like, wow. And what we're being asked for is courage. And when I look at courage on the tarot cards, it's an interesting look, because First and foremost, courage within Osho Zen is like once you get to the point where you're free, it's time to shine. Absolutely shine who you are and don't stop. You cannot go back into those rocks. You can't go back into that seed, right? Within the light seers, it's like, you know, that lioness comes out and you start to show that inner beast. And I'm reading the Sarah J. Maas Throne of Glass series. I did it all backwards. I did the Courts of Thorns and Roses, then Crescent City, and now I'm back at Glass, and I'm just enthralled. And I'm sort of like, so here's this inner beast that we didn't even know we have that's coming out. And my favorite of all of them is the way that Thoth talks about courage is where we have lust. She's laying on the back of a lion. She's holding the energy of the world and just presenting it, and she's completely herself and she doesn't care. And I thought this is kind of where we're at. We are being asked for courage, not the kind of courage that pushes or powers over, but soul courage, presence, truth, compassion, and trust. Courage that lives in alignment with what is real. Bah. So I have 6 tips for you. And before I do that, I want to yet again remind you that I have a Patreon channel, and that on Tuesday, the 2nd, we're going to resume our discussion. And I made a little bit of changes because there's this format that I used to do with families when we needed to gather information from a lot of different perspectives. And then we sort of started to build from those perspectives. What is it that we're actually seeing? And I want to try that with this discussion group, and I would love it if you could come and join us. So for $11 a month, I put, as a matter of fact, I also want to just do a little plug that for paid members, I did this new Claire Codens, and where it comes from and what's it about, and went through the indigos and the crystals and the Blu-rays. So if you're interested in that, that's on Patreon as well. So come join us. Link is down below in the description. Okay, so 6 practices, 6 tips that we can do right now in order to access our courage, right? Okay, number 1, listen to your body first. Your body is going to tell you the truth faster than anything else. Your gut intelligence talks to you. So when you get that hesitation, like, wow, like I wasn't going to do this talk last time I was up here out in this meadow because there was a grizzly sow with 2 cubs that was living in this meadow, and she's now moved on. And I'm kind of like watching the camera and going like, I got my bear spray down here, but you know, like there is no way, right? My body kept saying, you're fine. You're fine. So I was like, okay, I'm going to take my chair and go sit out here and do this. So listen to your body first. It always knows. Number 2, name the tower moment honestly. When it happens, you know, it's like, wow, this is what's collapsing. I didn't realize it was going to be that. Whether it's your job, whether it's your marriage, whether it's the way that you keep your house, the way that you thought you needed to live or dress, or you're just going to go like, I'm not going to rebuild this because it was false. I'm going to let it fall. So name it out loud when you see it. Oh, that's what's leaving. Okay? Number 3, again, anchor yourself in breath, in water, and in earth, right? Do deep belly breaths, do a lot of intentional water drinking, keep your body hydrated, keep your magnesium up, keep your minerals, trace minerals and electrolytes up. Get outside and touch the ground with your feet, because Saturn is back in Pisces, which means that there's this flow to what we're going to do, and that flow has to be supported by our full embodiment, right? Makes sense. Number 4, stand in your truth even if it's shaky. Indigos are reminding us that naming the truth is courage itself. So when we as indigos stand in truth and we watch the world sort of look and go, oh man, what if Denise was onto something all those years ago, right? And you're like, mm-hmm. So stand in your truth even if it's shaky. Stand there. Let it be. And I want to say, you know, like standing in your truth might look like this. Standing in your truth might look like this, which is, I have information. Would you like that? Because when I'm working on metaphysical now, my truths come from a lot of different places. And I'm very confident that when those truths show up, that they often need to be spoken, right? That's why I do this once a week with you all. Number 5, we want to practice compassion without conditions. So when we talk about the indigos, now this is where the crystals come in. This is where that crystalline energy shows us that love is beyond cause and effect. We can love something whether it's returns it to us, whether it is reciprocated in the equal value that we think, like there's all of that stuff. So courage softens the rigidity, right, into compassion. It means that I can soften and just allow. There's bugs flying all over the place. I don't know if you can tell that. So what we want to do is we want to deepen our compassion, and we want to hold that crystalline, unconditional love, right? That Christ consciousness. Okay, number 6, trust the subtle codes that you receive, right? Because for many of us, our senses are opening up even more than they ever have before. And we're like, wow, I did not realize my clairs were that spot on. I didn't realize I'm seeing things on a much different level. So when our senses are opening and becoming more powerful, courage is trusting what we perceive, even if it goes beyond logic. It's like, like I'm looking at the politics right now. I'm looking at the finances. I'm looking at the education system. I'm looking at what's happening with the revelations within our medical industry about COVID. And I'm like, I have to trust what I'm perceiving. I'm picking up dots and codes that are telling me where to follow the trail. And it may not look like what the news is saying or what the podcasts are saying or what the discussions are among my friends. I have to trust that, because this is where my Blu-ray skill set, my ability to spot patterns and codes starts to come through. So trust the subtle codes that you receive. Okay, they're all simple, but when we put them together, they align us with courage in the moment, and they help us stay present. And remember, we want to stay sovereign, we want to stay present, and we want to stay secure or stabilized, right? Okay, so remember, courage isn't the absence of fear, right? It is the presence of truth. How's that? I'm going to put that on a meme and put it out there. Courage is not the absence of fear. It's the presence of truth. So I'll leave you with this question for the week. Where is my courage asking me to rise right now? And I'm going to put that question down in the comments. And I'm going to invite you to continue to talk with each other as you have been. It's been wonderful to see. Anything else? I will see you next week on the full moon lunar eclipse. I probably won't be up here, but I'll try to find some spot near Whitefish where I can get outside, because I really do like doing these. Blessings for your Tower moments, your Saturn waters, and that all of the courage that is being born in you. I'll see you next week. Take care.